Folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. And at this time, we have council member, Blue Ridge council member Kenneth Gaddis with us. And we want to talk about last night's Blue Ridge City Council meeting. Councilman Gaddis, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. I'm fine. We'll leave it at that.
You just need to just calm down a little bit and, get your fidget spinner out and spin it a few times. You'll be okay.
You know what? I can't believe you brought that up. I can't believe you brought that, but that's pretty good. I deserve that. If I deserve it, I'll take it. I do have a fidget spinner, and you know that. Okay, this is your first term on the council, and you got about 4 meetings under your belt, and I'm going to say things are starting to hit their stride and settle in to where you guys are covering some issues and discussing some things. But let me start with this. In the first meeting of the year, there was a vote. And viewers out there, let me be clear, there is a Mayor Donna Whitener, and there are 4 other council members, so obviously Mr. Gaddis can only speak for himself and not the entire council. But at the beginning of the year, there was a vote to move Police Chief Johnny Searcy, has been Police Chief of the City of Blue Ridge for years, to a status of interim police chief, I guess, until the time of review. And then last night, the council took the status of label of interim off and reinstated him fully as police chief of the City of Blue Ridge. Can you explain to the viewers out there that are wondering why the move to interim and what reviews were done, or if any, over the last 70 days or plus, that the council decided to go ahead and reinstate him? Can you explain that a little?
To the best of my ability, I'll try. There was obviously some things that happened previous term with a police chief and certain members, council and stuff, and an issue arose. Coming into the new council, there was some issues regarding an antelitum notice. And in that, we have to go through all the scenarios to protect the City of Blue Ridge. We go through many things to make the right decisions. So, looking at this as a new council member, this kind of worried me. So what we did is, came together and said, let's get this squared away until this issue can be resolved. So there was an interim status that was put in play.
So the interim status was put in play to give the council time to square some other things and sort through some things. And let me say this, because when you said an antelitum notice, folks, what that is that's a notice that is given to usually government, city, county, government entities, that there's an intent. There's an intent to sue the government, and Chief Johnny Searcy had sent the City of Blue Ridge an antelitum notice stating that he intended to sue the city for $1 million. Now, my understanding is, I have a copy of that somewhere, I didn't pull it out. My understanding that he also named Rhonda Thomas and Donna Whitener personally. And I don't know if you can speak to that, because you got to speak to the city, but in that antelitum notice. So what I have here in my hands this morning is, I have a copy that says, "To whom it may concern, Mayor and Council of Blue Ridge on April 2nd. The deal was done on April 2nd. This is to give notice that the antelitum notice given in the above caption mattered is withdrawn at the request of Chief Searcy." So that threat of the $1 million lawsuit to the city is gone. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, as far as I know. That's the letter that I've read, that all the council members and mayor and even our city attorney received.
Okay, now and I'm going to ask you this point, were you in any of the negotiations to arrive at this, or did you get a chance to meet with their attorney? Do you know if there was any kind of settlement outside of just saying, I become police chief again and I drop the intent to sue? I mean, do you know any of the details on it?
I don't know any details regarding attorneys on this. If you're looking at pointing a finger at somebody, I guess you could just come point it at the council. Myself as a council member and as a citizen of Blue Ridge, I felt there was a need to move forward. We have a lot of things on the agenda that needs to be taken care of and addressed. I felt this was an item of concern that needed to be done with to, let Blue Ridge move forward in a peaceful manner. So what I did as a council member is I approached all parties and said, I need this resolved. Blue Ridge deserves better. Let's move forward. And through just conversations with many different people, other council members, even Mr. Searcy and everything, everybody had the same vision. Everybody wanted to see Blue Ridge move forward. Everybody was kind of, tired of all the bickering and stuff and all the social media nonsense that's out there. That really is just, that I don't even get on social media that much, so I don't even keep up with it that much. So, but the one thing is we were voted in to move Blue Ridge forward. So I basically approached individuals and said, how can we move forward? And here we are.
Well, I know in one sense of this, it's good to have the lawsuit off of the head of the new council here going into this year's term. Let me move on to another subject that you brought it up, got a lot of social media attention. I call it the ordinance, first reading of the no shining lights on the Swan Drive-In screen ordinance, the illumination ordinance. How did this come about? And I say that tongue-in-cheek because we know what's been taking place. How did that come about? That was the first reading last night. Can you explain a little bit of that ordinance to our viewers and how that can help with the Swan Drive-In and the lights that are currently being shined on the screen?
Yes. To the best of my ability, I will try to describe this. This ordinance is basically designed to protect property values and property businesses and individual residential areas. The Swan Drive-In is obviously a historical monument for Blue Ridge, along with many other areas like the farmers market. And obviously there have been some situations regarding the Swan Drive-In and other individuals. We're not going to be bullied by nobody as the city of Blue Ridge. We're not going to be intimidated by nobody. We knew that this was a civil dispute. And really the city, by all regards, we could have just sit back and said, it's a civil dispute. We ain't putting our hands in it. We don't have to get our hands on this. But for the protection of the Swan Drive-In, obviously, and the protection of other future businesses, we move forward with this lighting ordinance because nobody should have to deal with what I call nonsense, with other people distracting from their business or from their personal property. We're just trying to protect everything all around because you got to understand, this ain't just got something to do with the Swan Drive-In. Blue Ridge is moving forward. There's going to be other things that may come in here, and we have to have this lighting ordinance. And we did notice that other cities had a lighting ordinance, and so that's basically where we were at. A lot of the things you look in our charter is outdated, and so what we're trying to do as a council and what our attorney's trying to do is look at these things and say, oh my goodness, we need to update these because the laws have changed so dramatically over the decades.
Well, I can understand, and I do understand the pressure on the lighting. And just to be clear, the Swan Drive-In property is owned by the city. So sometimes some people don't understand how the city is so maybe tied into this. The Swan Drive-In property is owned by the city. So that is, so we're this is somewhat, and these are my words, somewhat a lighting nuisance order that you know, shining, illuminating on city property or shining lights to obstruct the business. But I want to switch gears on that on the other side, because you know, if you are working through, and I've noticed you, and I'm going to say this directly to you, because I've noticed that you have taken a look at you know, trying to say, hey, what is on the charter that needs cleaned up, readdressed, or clarified? And I know you want to do a lot of work on that, and it's time to. Long overdue. What about noise? Now, let me say this, because, you know, not going into this too long, I got a couple more things. I know you got to get back to work. But noise. There's the argument of the plaintiff, I'll call him the plaintiff, that says, hey, you know what? There's a noise ordinance that is being violated at the Swan Drive-In. And I'm not picking on them, but I know we were having a jazz festival, and I was at the jazz festival, and it was in the city limits, and somebody had called the police because it was 10:05 or something, I think, and the city police were down there letting the directors of the jazz festival know, hey, you're past the noise ordinance. So what about the noise ordinance side of the argument?
Here's where we're at with the noise ordinance on the same breath, in my opinion, and take this as my opinion, not anyone else's. As we did with the lighting ordinance, we did allow for permitting. What I would like to see with the noise ordinance is possibly a revamp of that, and possibly permitting to a certain extent, you know, for you know, events or something like that. But it's, you know, the realm is not going to be disturbing to the citizens, the residential areas, or other areas within the parameters of the ordinance. The law is the law. We're just trying to update it, and noise ordinances are violated, same as the lighting ordinance is violated. There will be consequences, but we're trying to update the charter. And right now we've got the lighting ordinance done, and I would like to see future ordinance change for the noise ordinance, possibly for permitting and such things like that for events.
Well, the Swan Drive-In, we're going to move on from that, but it has been there for years, and I think everybody, I'm going to say, let common sense prevail. Everybody knows on Friday night you go up because there's going to be a double feature. And you always say, man, that second movie was better than the first. And yes, it runs, and they can't start them until it's dark enough in the summertime and the whole 9 yards. But there is a residential area that attaches to that. But there's such things, and it's 2017, there's such things as sound barrier. So there can be some kind of solution if everybody gets together. That's just my opinion. I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
There is. You can definitely do sound barriers. I mean, I will go ahead and say this because I go to the Swan Drive-In with my family. Mr. Setzer, who I do not know personally, does every attempt at trying to prevent sound ordinance. He does have security vehicles rolling around through there, making sure, you know, families are having a good time, making sure nobody's being obnoxious, nobody's too loud. So, I mean, on his end, he's doing a great job for what he's got. But, you know, maybe there needs to be, you know, a sound barrier up. I'm not going to be the one that says there has to be, but I mean, I can tell you right now, for what he does with his security patrol, he does a really good job. But could there be something else? We'll have to see.
All right. Comprehensive parking study was voted on. Did I hear is it 25,000, 35? What was the number on the comprehensive?
I think they said it was between 25,000 to 33,000.
Yeah. Okay. That's just for the study, a comprehensive parking study. And have they already picked who is going to do the comprehensive parking study?
Not that I know of.
Okay, because there was a presentation that came in before election, and there was the mayor, Donna Whitener, held a little off city council, open to the public meeting with somebody that came in and made a presentation and said they would do a comprehensive study, and then if the city did not decide to go with their company to build a parking deck in Blue Ridge, then they would at least have the comprehensive study. So I mean, I just like to know as soon as you can get a chance of if you passed that much money, where did you get the layout of what it would cost to do that kind of a study? I mean, who presented names of who would do the study and why it cost between $25,000 and $33,000? I know I'm putting you on the spot with that, but I'm just wondering what they told you.
No, I have no input on that. As you can see, I obviously voted against it.
Right.
For reasons that I have. I mean, everybody brings a strength to the table, and we're all not going to get along on ideas, but we all get along on a professional level.
All right. Well, I do know you voted against it. That was my second question. Why did you vote against it? What did you see in it that you felt you needed to vote against it? And that's a parking solution. I don't know. I better stay out of opinion there, okay, Mr. Gaddis. Let me move on to one more thing here. The downtown bathrooms. Did I hear $900,000 in that conversation, and what did it include, or what am I getting wrong? What did I hear when we were talking about downtown bathrooms?
Honestly, I've heard a lot of different numbers. And there has been some talk of, $750,000 at the town hall, we heard. And let me tell you, I think I have every guy that I know that's a plumber calling me wanting to bid on that job. But I'm just saying, right now, the council as a unity has not decided on the value of the bathrooms at this time. There are some, prints out there for certain, developments, but we can take away from those prints. And so the council has to come together to say what number is actually logical for bathrooms.
Well, when we talk about downtown bathrooms, and we talk about downtown bathrooms, and we have for years. I mean, I was there. I always bring up, because she's, she worked at a lot. I always bring up Linda Thompson. I was there 6 years ago and watched her go to the podium and try to get enough money to paint the bathrooms and change the fixtures. And now we're let's just say $500,000 plus, and I've heard stories of a 2-story and I've heard talk of a 2-story and a 3-story building. Are we losing the focus that we want really nice, clean, fully modern bathroom facilities, restrooms for our visitors as they enjoy the city? Is there somewhat of a losing focus, or is that just me?
I have some questions regarding it also myself, of what is the focus for the bathrooms, and I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I've heard 2nd story and 3rd story, and I heard, the city could rent those out for businesses, and I'm just interested in, why the city needs to go and get into business, get in the rental business on things. So, okay, well, I'll agree with you. There are plans for a 2-story and a 3-story, and I understand the procedures for the multi-story for handicap accessibility from the lower level and from the street level. And that's what we're looking at. But once again, we're still talking about bathrooms. Yeah, we're talking about bathrooms. Okay. Two things. I'll let you go. I know you got to get to work. City planning, capital planning last night. There was a lot of discussion on capital planning. Can you give our viewers, just a summary of some of the things that were happening in the capital planning discussion? Just to let people know what was going on there.
Yeah. from my take of it is where I'll start with, because everyone takes it differently. What our financial department is giving us is a study of a 5-year plan of what needs to be done and what money and loans and grants that we have to pay back, where we're going to be at. And it's important that we have that look to find out where we're going. With the water department, which I really focus on a lot as a council member, we have a list of priority needs that need to be met within this year or possibly next year. And so our water department has done an amazing job down there, giving us that list of stuff, giving us cost amounts to where we can save for those events that need to be taken care of. What we don't want to do is start spending money and then look back and say, oh no, we spent it on the wrong thing. We want to prioritize our money. We want to make sure we're doing it properly for the city. This is taxpayer money. I never like to say it's in the budget. I always like to say, well, this is still taxpayer money. We need to prioritize it accordingly to make sure we're doing the right thing for the city.
All right. Last, and I say last all too many times. People say I don't understand what last question means. Last, my promise to you. The city currently has two committees, boards, as you may say, that the current way that the planning and zoning and the planning and zoning appeals boards work is nominations are made, okay, and from the floor, I mean from the council of a person to serve, there's a second, and then if they're approved by the council, they serve a term, a period of time term on either of those boards. Last night, you had the first reading of combining, not combining, that's not the word, of taking the two boards and turning them into both 5. That would be the planning and zoning for the city and the appeals board of planning and zoning, and making them mirror 5 positions and allowing one person to serve on both. Am I correct so far?
Correct.
Okay. And that after the second reading, if this is voted through and passes, it would then when you do that, then every council member would have one pick. Okay? Every council member would have one pick of who would be on that board for them. If a council member says, I defer my pick to the mayor, I don't want to get, I don't know of anybody, I really don't, then the council member could defer the pick to the mayor. So literally 5 people could say to the mayor, you pick it. It would legally be okay. It's not likely to happen. Am I wrong so far?
According to what I've read, you sound correct.
Okay. So it could happen. I always say what could happen is what you look at, not what would, all right? Possibly. But you could defer, but every council member gets their pick. That pick is not required to be a motion, a second, or a vote. You just get your pick of that person. When this passes, that would immediately extinguish the terms currently being served by whoever's on that board. Am I correct?
That one, I don't know the answer to that one for sure.
I think I have it on the video, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot because I think you remember when I asked the question last night. That's what the attorney cleared me up on. So I think that's because I asked that. I said, "Would you mean that would extinguish?" He said, "Yes." So I think I have that on video, but I can understand.
Okay.
All right. But what I'm getting to here, okay, is this is the opportunity. Because what I heard in the past on planning and zoning, and we're not going to bring up a single name, was that people would go on planning and zoning or go on the planning and zoning appeals board, and I'm going to use the word didn't deserve to be there. That's my words, because of their qualifications or their resume. So, I mean, we're talking about planning, we're talking about construction. They go in there, they get, all too well, they get blueprints, they get zoning issues, they get neighbor issues. And this is the opportunity for the citizens to put some resume requirements in for that. And I don't know that I heard that last night. Do you have any concerns with the way this is being put together? Because I do. And I think you knew I was getting to the point. I got a couple minor concerns on it.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, in my view, should be some professional traits that mirror the zoning board. That makes it kind of like me as a plumber. I work hand in hand with the water department and sewer departments and street department with storm drains. I bring my expertise to that, and I'm not saying I know everything. I learn every day something new, but I'm saying the zoning board should follow that same scenario. And when it comes time to pick, we should have people who have a resume, a background to knowing, understanding blueprints, who understand looking at future development, to make sure that we're doing the right thing and we're appointing the right people. We shouldn't just throw out some name and say, oh, here, you can come be on the zoning board. I know you don't know what it's about, but here. I think, in my view, and for who I decide to choose, I take it seriously. And for the city of Blue Ridge, it's not a choice that I am basing this on a friendship or basing it on anything. I base this on the citizens of Blue Ridge. I base this on the city of Blue Ridge and the future growth and moving forward.
Well, the reason I bring this up, Councilman Gaddis, is because I think the city is at a crucial point in time. The city is. There's a side that wants to preserve the sleepy little town that everybody's enjoying when they come to the festivals, and there's a side that says, hey, this thing can continue to grow nonstop. And I'm not one for saying, hey, stop progress. I'm not doing that at all today or saying that, but I am definitely one that says there's a balance. And there's a time when a little town has to look at the balance. So I think the planning and zoning, probably right now, I'm concerned, and I'm not putting up any names. I'm not saying anybody. I just get concerned on some of these boards when they get self-serving. And I have veterannews.com. I have been at Blue Ridge City Council for 3 administrations now. All right, it's not just this one. So I get concerned if a board could be set that would be self-serving, and if somebody would manipulate that and misuse it. So you know what I'm saying? That's just how I think you know that, right?
But as for me, I would expect someone to be on that zoning board and understand the historical society benefits that we could use for the city to preserve, the beauty that is Blue Ridge, but understand at the same time that there also is going to be growth. The two can work hand in hand.
Exactly. I'm not trying to slow progress. Okay, I told you that was my last question. It is, but I want to leave today with giving you the opportunity, because I want to thank you for what you're doing and the direction you're going in this. And you started last night about laying groundwork for the citizens of the city to be able to come and speak publicly and be involved in the process. So tell us a little bit what you introduced last night about public speaking at the meetings, and when you guys plan to maybe put some of this pen to paper on that.
For years now, everybody wants to be heard. The citizens want to be heard. That's why social media is such a frenzy, because anyone can be heard at any time, but just by sending a picture, typing out some phrases of how you're feeling. This is actually a vocal point to where you can address the council members and the mayor, and actually everyone in the room, and let them know your concerns for this. And I'll go ahead and tell you right now, the Swan Drive-In, the lighting scenario, Chief Johnny Cersei, all these little drama episodes, no citizen has called me. They want to go on social media. That's great. Well, guess what? I'm going to give them something even better to do. I will give them the opportunity to come up and speak to me, since they don't want to call me, and they can tell me their views. I want this to be open. I want their knowledge to come out. I just feel that we don't need to think that just 5 council members and the mayors has the ideas and the knowledge to make the city run proper. We have to know that the citizens have more knowledge in certain aspects to help build this city. And the only way this is going to happen is if we allow the citizens to speak before we make a vote. So what I intend to do is, hopefully with the council, agreement, is we're looking to, if we make a motion, there'll be a second to the motion, then we open it up for public comment. And in that public comment, it would be directed towards that agenda item per se, not just anything they want to talk about. And I feel right that way, no one can say anything that the council and the city don't listen to the citizens. We're giving you the opportunity. We want to learn from you. We want to make the best decision all the way around, from the citizens to us, because the citizens spoke when they voted us in, and this is them still speaking.
Well, okay, so if you have an issue, an action item on the agenda, and you read the action item and the council discusses it, and then a member says, I make a motion, we do this, and somebody says, I make a motion, I second that motion, then the mayor would say, okay, any public comment, then you would line up at the podium, give your name, make your public comment about the action item, and when everybody's done, then the council votes. Is that
exactly? Got
it. I can. That was simple to understand, and I get all. I enjoy that freedom of speech and being able to talk to the elected officials. Mr. Gaddis, I know you need to get to work, man. I don't know where you. I don't know what you're doing in the course of the day that you got 30 minutes just to hang out with me.
It's going to be a long lunch day, I guess.
Mr. Councilman Kenneth Gaddis, Blue Ridge City Council, I appreciate you very much. Thank you. You have a nice day. I know you're busy, and don't ever hesitate to contact us if you ever want to speak to our audience and get some information out. Okay?
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Okay, we're going to take a brief break, and that was Councilman, Blue Ridge City Councilman Kenneth Gaddis there, serving his first term. And we're going to take a brief break, and we're going to come back. And I hear it is Pet Day, right? Owner and Pet Day. We'll see if we can find some pictures of some pets out there if you've sent your pets. And maybe I might even find a picture of sassafras. Take us a break.